Hi, I'm Monica Packer, and you're listening to About Progress, where we are about progress made practical. Today is an exciting day because it is the day that I get to share the Do Something List workshop from 2025. This has become a bit of a tradition of sorts. Every year for the past maybe 3, 4, 5, I don't even remember how many years, I have been hosting a free workshop for all members of our community where I walk you through creating your own Do Something List for the year. So in this case, 2025. Now, we did that a couple weeks back. What you'll hear is that full replay from the workshop with a few edits. And what those edits are just when we had airtime of people actually doing the work part of answering questions or brainstorming their Do Something List or refining it. I have put in a little ding for you, a little chime, and then it will give it like 5 seconds and then another chime to come back in. Now, if you're listening to this, you could listen to it through without actually doing anything. That's totally fine. And then you can go make your list after. Or the other option is to follow along with the workshop. Get out your own notebook or print off the Do Something List guide, which I'll share next for you, and follow along. And every time you hear one of those chimes, press pause and do that part of the DSL guide or answer that question if you're answering it on your own notebook. That way, as you follow, you can do the work and at the end of this replay, have your own Do Something List for the year. If you would like access to the Do Something List guide that has all these questions listed out, it has all the resources you hear me reference in the actual workshop, meaning ideas for your Do Something List, also a whole list of real DSLs from women in our community, go to aboutprogress.com/DSL and you just put in your name and your email. And you will get the Do Something List guide, and you'll also get this full training on a video link if you prefer to see the video. And the video, I keep all the pauses there live, but also you will see all those other resources I mentioned, like the DSLs from women in our community. So it's just a great resource for you. Again, that's aboutprogress.com/DS. So now at the end of the replay, you will hear me invite people to share their Do Something List with me, and I invite you to do the same. So be sure to know that anything I share as part of the workshop is for you too, even as listeners. You can always email me for any questions you have or to share your Do Something List with me as your accountability buddy. The replay will also include ad breaks for this audio version, but the video portion does not have those ad breaks if that's what you prefer. Okay, after a quick break for our sponsors, we will start the Do Something List workshop replay. Thanks for listening. This episode is sponsored by Air Doctor. Americans take about 20,000 breaths a day and spend an average of 90% of their time indoors. The indoor air that we breathe can be up to 100 times more polluted than outdoor air, according to the EPA. Indoor air pollutants can cause respiratory symptoms like sneezing, congestion, scratchy throat, and even more serious health problems. So what's the solution? Air Doctor, an award-winning purifier that eliminates 99.99% of dangerous contaminants like allergens, viruses, smoke, gases, mold spores, and more. Air Doctor was voted Best Air Purifier by Newsweek, so it's no surprise that 98% of Air Doctor customers agree their home's air feels safer, cleaner, and healthier. And we are in that boat. We live in the Salt Lake Valley, which is famous for many good things, but infamous for its smog because we basically live in a giant bowl. A couple weeks back, we had one of those bad air quality weeks where people were not supposed to go outside much at all. And I noticed that my Air Doctor was not only working well and how clean the air felt inside our house, it was also working overtime and automatically too. Unlike other air purifiers, Air Doctor captures invisible particles 100 times smaller than standard HEPA filters. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code MONICA to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee plus a 3-year warranty, an $84 value free. Get this exclusive podcast-only offer now at airdoctorpro.com. That's airdoctorpro.com using promo code MONICA. This episode is sponsored by Element. If you struggle with headaches, cramps, fatigue, brain fog, or general weakness, did you know that it could be due to you having an electrolyte deficiency or imbalance? Electrolytes are charged minerals that aid in hydration to our very cells, which are very important. And busy women often need help with hydration, and I'm no different. This is why I adore, and I mean adore, our sponsor, Element, spelled LMNT. Element is a zero sugar electrolyte drink mix that helps anyone stay hydrated without the dodgy ingredients and artificial colors found in popular electrolyte and sports drinks. I put 1 stick of Element into my giant tumbler every morning before I do my workout. And not only have I grown to love its salty taste, I love all the flavors I've tried. My very favorite have to be raspberry and the chocolate caramel and maybe the citrus and the watermelon. Okay, I clearly love them all. I have also been loving having fewer headaches and less leg cramps waking me up at night. Our podcast manager, Taylor, is a big fan too and has been for some time, as she has used Element to aid her hydration as a workout instructor long before they became a sponsor. Element is for everyone, from Navy SEALs to Olympians to moms like me. Get your free Element sample pack with any purchase at drinkelement.com/progress. Also try the new Element Sparkling, a bold 16-ounce can of sparkling electrolyte water. I love this water too, and it's the perfect pickup in the late afternoon or early evening. If you don't like what you order, Element will refund your order, no questions asked. Again, get your free Element sample pack with any purchase at drinkelement.com/progress. Hello, everybody. Hello. So nice to see you all. I'm just going to share my screen with you and we will officially get started. Well, welcome everybody. I think you're all familiar mostly with me, but if not, I'll give a quick introduction in a minute. But for now, it's just so nice to see my internet friends. I feel like I know so many of you, even just from your name and your face. If you're able to in this workshop, I would absolutely adore it if you could show your face. Now, I have to admit, this is me being a hypocrite because I tend to never show my face in these kinds of things. But if you have the time and the bandwidth to do so, then please do. So that way we can really just be here and present together and make the most of our time together. And that's all to say, this is indeed a workshop today. It's not a sales webinar. You're not going to get any offers today. And there's also going to be a lot of like blank space, time for you to actually prepare your do something list for the year. If you're not well familiar with that, don't worry, that's coming in just a minute. So I say that now because this may not be like the typical online webinar that you may have signed up for in the past or viewed, not because those are bad or worse or anything like that. It's just different. It's a genuine workshop. I want you here to be working. Now, if you were able to, I would love for you to pull up, if you were able to print it out or even download it, the Do Something List guide. And let me see if I can get a quick link for that for those of you who weren't able to get it in advance. So let's start with our official program here, shall we? You're going to be learning a lot today. And I wanted to first begin by kind of making sure we're here for the reasons that are right for us. So why are you here? Why are you here personally? What about the Do Something list interests you? Why are you drawn to it? What about it is intriguing? So tell me in the chat why you're here. So let's hear some of your answers here. Ooh, already loving this. Okay, Libby, you said I want to be a happier mom. Beautiful. Create more meaningful life without spending a fortune. Always here for that. Kimber says, I found the DSL so fulfilling last year, more fun and less pressure than goals or resolutions. Hurrah. Nicole loved the experience last year. Can't wait for my list of things I want to do for me this year. Some are saying they've missed other years. When I did it, I was more focused. I want to be more intentional about life this year. Last year went so fast. I'm with you too. It gives me a way to focus my year. I loved having the DSL last year. I'd love to be more intentional about my time. I'm kind of going a little faster here. I want to do more of what I love or have more exhilaration of trying new things and exploring. Okay. Yeah. So life doesn't feel so hard.
Karen says, I love to dedicate time and space to think about and get started on creating my DSL. The DSL has become an important part of my life that helps me remember to take time for myself. I'm accountable to others, so I'm glad you're holding this meeting. Good, Peggy. And Melissa, I've done a DSL a few years ago and needed help creating a new one this year. Okay, there's so many good reasons to be here. Even if your reason is just pure curiosity, like you just want to know more about what this is, you're in the right place. My goal today is to help you get as close as we can to you having a final, no, maybe not a finalized, but again, as close as we can, your due setting list for 2025. So let me tell you just a little bit about me. I'm a podcaster and a coach. I love to hike. I'm a beginning gardener. I love to read. A lot of these things I discovered through my do something list. I love fashion. I love interior design. I love learning about art. Like all these things are things that I can share with you because of my do something list. And in fact, that's why we're here because originally when I first made this list, this is now my 10th year. 10th year of making this list. So this was zoomed back, 10 years ago. And I'm like, oh, I can see that now. That was 10 years ago. I couldn't have answered those questions. Like, I wouldn't have known how to respond other than that. I was a mom. And as much as I loved that job and responsibility that I had, I wouldn't have been able to answer that. Now, even if I hadn't been a mom, I was lost in just normal life stuff before that. I would have said, like, I'm a teacher, I'm a wife, but I wouldn't have had anything else to really say about me and who I was and what I was interested in. So, as we begin today, what I'm going to teach you is what a do something list is, and really importantly, what it is not. We're going to talk about why it matters, and then we're going to spend the bulk of our time creating it. My goal is for a full hour. I unfortunately have to end right on time today. So I'm hoping we can get as much time as we can on the actual creation. And while you're creating your do something list, the reason you're here is so you can get the support right from me. So don't be shy. Ask your questions in the chat. If I can't help you right away, someone else will. That's how these groups always go. But I will do my best to answer as many questions as I can. So we talked about why you were here. I want you to hold on to that. I want you to hold on to what is important about your do something list. Because one of the biggest things about it is that it's not a list of shoulds. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. It's not about that. So when you know your own reason, you can hold on to that. Now, a lot of people initially join in on the do something list train because goals and resolutions are just not their thing, or it's just not their season, or they have them, but they need something different. If you're feeling lost or stuck in your life in some way, you're here for the right reasons. If you just want more fun, you're here. You're in the right place. So 8 years ago, I would have answered all of the above. Like I needed all those things. It wasn't time for goals and resolutions for me. I was not in a good place for that. But I needed things to be different in my life. I needed to rediscover myself. I needed to figure out who I was and make time for myself in my busy life because otherwise it wasn't going to happen. So a do something list, let's define that for you right now. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I started it. And if you've been in these workshops in the past, a lot of this will be familiar to you, but hang on tight. And if you want, you can even get started on going through the guide, which we're going to get to. A do something list is a personalized push to explore fulfillment in your daily life. The key word there's a few actually, but what I want you to pay attention to first is fulfillment. Fulfillment to me is feeling full of yourself, and not in the way that people might typically say that. Instead, it's about being you, knowing what you want, having your own wants and needs, even on your list in general in your life. The do something list is designed to help you uncover and discover you. It's about exploration, not completion. And the reason the title is do something is it's because we're trying to get out of that cycle of all or nothing. So when we say do something, don't think of that toxic positivity tone that a lot of people use when they say do something, like do something, today's your day, get out of bed, and you are the only one in charge of your life. Like, okay, that's not it. It's like instead of all, instead of nothing, do something. So as part of that, you're going to learn a little bit more about what the do something list is not. A do something list is not a list of shoulds. They are not allowed on your list. That means anything you feel like you should want or that you should be doing, or something that you think should be on your list because someone else has it on their list. A do something list doesn't need to be a certain length. It doesn't have to look a certain way. There's so much there that it's more about your individual desires, which is really great because if you don't know what those are, even making the list is going to be a practice in that and centering yourself. It's also not a list of goals. Goals have their place, but the point of the do something list is not about improvement. The do something list is about fulfillment, and there's a big difference. Now, because you're working on fulfillment, you will experience a trickle down effect of improvement in other areas of your life. That has happened to me year after year. Like, because I have a desire to read a certain number of books, and that's on my do something list, it trickles down to me improving a little bit of my time management so that I can get there. But that wasn't the point. It wasn't the point to improve in time management. It was the point to read. Okay. So that's what I want you to figure out. And one more thing about this, the do something list is pressure free. I have done this again this is my 10th year making a do something list. I think there was 1 year I missed it. So I guess 9 out of the 10 years. I have never completed a list. Completion is not required. And one more thing about that too is I have always changed my lists. 1 to 2, sometimes 3 times a year. When I revisit it, I cross things off. I change different requirements. I may add to it. Your list is a living document. It's allowed to change. So you know more what it is and what it is not. I need to tell you how that all plays into me 10 years ago, having a big question mark about myself and my life, and why I decided it was time to do something different, to create a list for me. And this all happened 6 months before I turned 30. I think these milestone birthdays are really a good opportunity to kind of look back at our lives. And when I was doing so, I had that realization that I had been on the sidelines for my entire adult life, in large part because I got swept up in perfectionism tendencies, riding the all or nothing pendulum swings. Now, if you've listened to my podcast, then you know my story. So I'm not going to share a ton, except to say I needed a push. I needed to do something. It wasn't working for me to stay safe on the sidelines. Something had to change. So 6 months before I turned 30, I remember I was in the passenger seat driving to my in-laws for Sunday dinner, and it was raining outside because it always does in Northern California during December. And I was just thinking about this and realizing about all the things I thought I would have done by this point in 30, by the time I was 30, or the things I'd still be interested in. Like, I don't go to museums anymore. Or I used to love museums. I haven't been to a museum in years. Or I keep saying that I wish I would write, but I never do. I never do. And I was just fed up with it. So I got out my phone, which was probably the first iPhone I had. And I got up the Notes app and I started to make a list of 30 things I wanted to do before I turned 30. And it was initially called the 30 before 30 list. Now that didn't apply to all of us. So it became the do something list. I'm going to show you the original do something list that I made. This is part 1. I just want you to take a second to take a look at a few of these things. You don't have to read each one. Then I'm going to show you part 2. So that's the second half. Now you're going to notice that none of the things on this list are going to make it in a book. Okay. None of them are going to become headlines on a newspaper. People largely will not notice these things. But bit by bit, as I moved through my list, and it wasn't chronological, none of it was chronological. That wasn't even the point either. The results were huge for me, and they were mostly internal. Now, I did have a few moments where I saw a literal change, like a before and after picture. And it actually was this one. What you see on the left is that original picture I showed you. That was about 5 months before I had my crap, I'm turning 30 in 6 months moment and made my list. The one on the right is about 6 months in, like around my birthday, actually. 6 months later after that in the car moment. So these are about a year apart. I'm actually wearing makeup in both. To me, it's not, my smile. Like I was trying to smile in that picture. It's my eyes. And this picture on the right was actually me standing outside of a museum for my first time in years. And what you don't see out of the frame is I'm standing in front of an ice cream truck and holding an ice cream cone too. So I got a 2-for-1 that day. I got to try a new ice cream and I got to go to a museum. So that to me felt striking. I could see in my eyes that I was back. And then bit by bit, I looked visibly happier for sure. My do something list helped prove my all or nothing tendencies wrong. It showed me that I could actually prioritize myself without sacrificing my responsibilities. I could be on the list and nobody would suffer. In fact, the people on my list were better off because I was on there too. I also learned that changing didn't require an amazing outcome. A lot of the things on my list, I did a terrible job with. One of the things I could show you, if I move my camera, do you see that painting? I keep this painting not because it's beautiful, but because I made it during that year. I actually don't even know it was on my original list. It was one of the trickle down effects of this. I just started to try a lot of things. I don't think this is a good painting. It's fine. I wouldn't sell it. I probably wouldn't want people to look at it closely. I keep it in my office to remind me how good it felt for me to try and how miraculous it felt to, in the trying, somehow gain more confidence, even though I was bad at the things I was trying. So I talked about the trickle down effect. I just want you to think of that like as, rain goes down onto the mountains and then it trickles down and then it gradually gathers together into little streams and then to creeks and then to rivers. Like I probably used some of the terminology in the wrong order there. But the point is here, is true for the do something list. You're starting with these little raindrops, these little trickles. They don't seem like much, but they will not only gather into a force that is so powerful and empowering for you, they will trickle out into other areas. They will branch out into other parts of you and your life, and you will start to see progress in other ways. I started to notice other changes 2 years in. These are 2 years apart, these pictures. I started to have better self-care. I began to have better habits. I became a goal planner and a journaler and a day planner again. Doing my do something list directly led to me becoming a podcaster. And it wasn't even on my list. None of those things were. It shifted the way I showed up for my family. My parenting improved. My marriage has improved. My husband's made a do something list here and there. I never ask him to, but sometimes I see it pop up on the wall next to mine some years. Now, none of that again was the point. That was not the point of my do something list, and it never has been. But all of those things have been part of that trickle down goodness that has come from me feeling and being more myself. So the biggest lesson, there's so many I could tell you, but the biggest lesson that has come for me from doing a do something list over and over is this: the transformation lies in the process, not the outcome. We're always waiting for the outcomes, and a lot of times they don't come or they look different than we think they will be, or perhaps they're more fleeting and we just are on to the next thing. If we know that the transformation lies in the process, not the outcome, we can lean in different ways than we could have otherwise. That's what the do something list has given me the most. So for past do something list participants, I want you to think about what lessons the DSL has taught you. We have quite a few veterans here, people who are returning to meet their do something list. So let's hear from you personally. What has it taught you? And as you're typing, I'm going to share about what some past women have said on this. Real women have experienced the real change that comes from the do something list. Some have said, I don't feel as depleted. It helped me have fun again. It made me prioritize myself in ways I felt stuck before. It taught me the power of do something. And I love this one because it's a total trickle down effect answer. I scroll on my phone way less. Isn't that fun? So in the chat, tell me what the do something list has taught you. Nicole says here, I love the gentle approach and that this is for fun and enrichment for me. So glad to hear that. Okay, keep typing for those who are veterans. Here's a couple more examples. One of the things I hear all the time is it changed my life. People said it's brought joy back. It's helped me make time for myself and the things I enjoy. By the way, you can change the name of it, like this woman did here. I did 27 while 27. Paula says it's helped me with my depression and anxiety. The creativity has given me a light. Interestingly, Martha Beck just shared something about that on Instagram, the research that shows creativity taps anxiety down. Julie helped me to know that it's cool to try new things, even though I'm a grown up. Fabulous. Kimber, my needs and wants matter. It adds purpose to my blah days with no plans. My kids also love following along with my list. That was so fun. Laura, I've realized that it's okay for me to take time for my hobbies, and in turn, many other people benefit from those things too. That's beautiful. And Taryn says, when I prioritize time for myself, I actually have more energy to give to other people and other areas of my life. I feel like when we hear those things, it kind of feels like a no-brainer. Like, oh yeah, when you make time for yourself, that helps other people. But in the actual practice, it's so much harder. It's so much harder. We just get swept up in the to-dos. So this is a way to make you on your to-do list. Some other people have said things like, in a family of high achievers with crazy goals, the DSL has been good for me. The motherhood and working season has me languishing for a few years as I couldn't meet the goals I felt I had to push towards and strive for, but the DSL has given me excitement about what I can experience in this season and has changed my mindset from high goals and to enjoyment and fulfillment. Okay, let's see. Nishi says it's helped me feel more fulfilled, but what I love the most is how other ideas and wants come up after taking that first step. That is everything. I love hearing that, Nishi. Okay, I wanted to just quickly highlight a woman named Ashley. And what I love about her is she initially thought the do something list was not for her. She thought it was only a hobbies list. But she did a free coaching call with me for the podcast, and she agreed to let me share this too. So both of the things she did was she knew would be public. And in the coaching call we did for the podcast, we realized she just really needed a way to prioritize herself, but she didn't know how to spend that time. So I gently encouraged her to make a do something list, and she followed up that advice and she did it. And then she emailed me and was like, okay. So this is what she said. I wanted to email you and just say how much the do something list has helped me. I had heard you talk about it on the podcast, but just really didn't think it was for me. Giving myself permission to try things and hate them and only do them once. By the way, you totally can do that. Freed me up to find things I truly enjoy doing. And I feel like I am more myself than I have been in a while. So thank you. And she wrote that to me when she just had her third baby and she was getting her master's degree at the same time. Like life could not have been more chaotic. But she found the small ways she was able to lean into discovery gave her what she needed herself. So if the biggest lesson is the transformation lies in the process, not the outcome, that's what we want you to lean into. But weirdly, the outcomes are pretty great too, right? The outcomes are pretty darn great. So what we want you to do is we want you to start to think of what a do something list can look like. So let me top down here just a little bit. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple real do something lists. And none of these are mine. These all come from women in our community who have made these in the past. And I switch these out every year. Some of them may have lingered. While I go through these, I'm going to spend just like 30 seconds on each one. I want you to look at these with just an open mind, and I want you to tell me what you notice about these lists. Okay, so here's the first one. Here's another one. Another. And I know you won't be able to read each item on their list, but we just want you to notice some things. Here's another. And this person lived internationally. So like London was her city. Okay, just a few more. And as I'm going through these, if you can hop in the chat and tell me what you have noticed about these lists. What are some things you've noticed? And just one more. Okay, what have you noticed about these lists? Okay, I'll keep tapping through these while those are it, but I'm just going to go back through and tap through again while we share some of these answers. What did you notice? I love seeing the word discover on there. That was one of them. Jeannie says these lists are ambitious and quantify the items. Yeah, I would say not all are ambitious, but some of them definitely are. Sarah, you notice the theme of taking time to create. Taryn, stop being PTA president is my favorite list item. She says, I remember that person and I loved how she incorporated that into her life. Cass, you notice that a lot of them have specific numbers. So does Christy, numbers. The numbers, yes. Emily says, try something just one time. Kimber says, usually start with a verb and have set numbers. Some have numbers, some don't. They're quite varied. That's the thing I want you to see. Now, a lot of the ones I shared with you tend to be longer, but I've seen a lot of do something lists that have 3 items, 5 tops on them. So they typically range in the amount too. Most involve movement and also something that stimulates the brain. There was one in particular that made me chuckle because it was so clear that these were things she loved. Oh, is this one? Memorize the preamble to the Constitution. Would that be on my do something list? No, because that doesn't sound fun to me. But that is so representative of her. For someone else, memorize the preamble to the Constitution would be a goal. But for this person, it was not because of who she is and what she's interested in. Just like for her, perusing the dictionary monthly is on her do something list. Writing 2 poems and 2 essays. Okay, I loved that. So you also see how individual they are. There's lots of social stuff too. Okay, so here's some things I want you to also draw note of. A lot of you did already on this one, numbers. A way to see this is gamification. When you see numbers on a do something list, it's not about you have to hit this number. It's about making it fun. Okay, I have rarely met the number I put next to an item on my do something list, but making little tally marks next to mine or crossing off how many I've done feels funner. If it doesn't for you, don't put numbers down. Or if it feels more like it's becoming a pressure, then maybe just do way lower numbers than you think. So that way you can just get the ball rolling and see where it takes you. Other times there's themes, like some people have a year of creativity. Other people have a year of like brain work. I've had years where it's more about physically challenging myself. Okay, so you can have a theme if you wish. You don't have to. I also love that many of you noted how personalized they were. Some of these were very visual, very artistic looking. Others had tracking kind of elements to them. Okay, ways where they could check off little boxes and keep an actual like chart of their progress. Others were just written on a piece of paper, and each of them were very, very different. So I'm going to reemphasize this. Instead of staying stuck in the all or nothing cycle, the do something list is individually designed by you and for you to do something to prioritize regular exploration and support of who you are. That means each DSL is going to be very unique to its creator. And even to the time in which the same creator makes one. Some are long, some are short, some are theme-based, some have all the things, some are made for the year, some make them for a season. But each of them have the power to guide you off the sidelines. So this is where we're going to start making it. We're going to start getting into the nitty-gritty work of doing so. And I wanted you to remember that last note in particular because I don't have a prescription for you. I can't tell you exactly how to make a list and what should be on it. But I can help guide you to get to a good place for yourself. So that's what we're going to do. First, we're going to spend some time reflecting, and I'll guide you with that. We will brainstorm your do something list. We will tweak what you have on that brainstorm. We will define your DSL, and then we will share. Now, we may not get fully to this step. We may not get to the point where you are like, here's my 5 list DSL. But no matter what, we will be able to share at least what's partly on our list. So let's open up our do something list guide to start reflecting. This episode is proudly sponsored by Lola V, an award-winning hair care line founded by the ever fabulous and ever iconic Jennifer Aniston. You know that feeling when you have a really great hair day? You feel like you're unstoppable, maybe more charismatic, you can't stop touching your hair. I've been having more of those kind of good hair days, and that's exactly why Jennifer Aniston set out to create Lola V, to bottle up all those good feelings. Now, with the new year, it's time for you to experience those new feelings by prioritizing taking care of yourself in this simple way, having great hair care products. Lola V's lineup consists of clean, plant-powered products designed for every hair type and texture, so you can have silky, shiny hair without sacrificing hair health. This award-winning brand is powered by their naturally derived peptide bond builder known as B-Pro3 bond technology. It's derived from chia seeds and clinically proven to prevent, protect, and repair signs of aging and damage on hair. It combats the damage right where it starts, guarding against dryness and breakage while delivering high-performance results. I have been a big fan of the restorative shampoo and conditioner, and I've been a big fan of all of the styling products from the glossing detangler to the air dry cream and so much more. You can unlock Jennifer Aniston approved hair at lolav.com and celebrate the new year with stronger, healthier hair. As our loyal listeners, you'll get an exclusive 15% off your entire order when you use the code PROGRESS at checkout. That's 15% off your order at LOLAVIE.com with promo code PROGRESS. Please note that you can only use one promo code per order and discounts can't be combined. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Your hair will thank you. If you're looking to take better care of yourself in ways both deep and practical, you can't do so consistently without both doable and dependable habits in place. You may think you know what it takes to create a habit that sticks, but if you've been struggling with some to most of your habits, then I want you to consider that maybe you've had the wrong methods all along. Right now, it's open enrollment for the Sticky Habit Intensive, my 21-day live course, challenge, and community designed to help busy women form habits that stick. With the intensive, you'll not only learn my sticky habit method, one designed, tested, and proven for real women leading real lives. You'll also work on one habit of your choosing, all with my personal support and that of a small community of like-minded women doing the exact same thing. Sign up by February 21st to access this special bonus. 1 free buddy pass. Hello, extra accountability. Past participants have worked on habits from exercising to journaling to meal planning to reading. But even more than that, they've worked on something deeper, their identity. It turns out when you're able to change the way you do habits, you're also able to change the way you see yourself. Join us before the doors close on February 21st by signing up at aboutprogress.com/intensive. If you're listening to this episode later and the doors are closed, you can sign up for the waitlist for our next intensive at that same link. Again, that's aboutprogress.com/intensive. Now, this is where we're going to spend a big chunk of time. And if you've heard me say this on the podcast before, I apologize, but I want you to know I designed these questions to not hurt you. I hate reflecting. One of the reasons I don't enjoy goal making, but I still do it now, not all the time, not every year, but one of the things that has always held me back is that I don't personally love reflecting. I find it a little painful or uncomfortable. But if you can just stick with this and answer what you can and how you can, like meaning not perfect sentences, not super eloquent, nobody else needs to read it, any amount of reflection you can do is going to be super beneficial to you making your eventual list. So I'm going to challenge you a little bit to do that, okay? And let me just stop the share here of that screen, and then I'll share the workbook, or the guide rather. This front page is just for people who um, join the training and they just want to, maybe they don't even watch the training. They just go right into the guide. So we don't need to read through all that. You all know that. Okay, so here, let me just show you over a quick overview of the reflection section. We're going to take it question by question, and we may spend like a minute on each question. And I'm keeping it short because I just want you to like quickly write or type. Like, don't think too much. Just reflect. But if you struggle with these questions, some of you may find them a little triggering. That rarely happens, but if that's the case, know that you're not alone there. Let's start with the first question here. What were you naturally drawn to and curious about as a child? So you don't have to answer these in the chat. This is just for yourself, your own notebook, your own guide, your piece of paper, whatever you've got in front of me. What were you naturally drawn to and curious about as a child? Okay, let's go to the next question. Recall what you used to be interested in before life and responsibilities happened. And you can also move on to the next as well if you have a little bit more time. When have you felt fulfilled, like yourself? What were you doing in those moments? We'll spend about a minute and a half on those two questions, maybe 2 minutes. So just so you know, if you need to, you can skip ahead to page 6. If it's like hard for you to reflect more deeply, you can just do a rapid fire section right here, but we'll get to that too for everybody in just a moment. Okay, so we answered those two questions. Let's now go to page 4 of the guide and these next two questions, and they are, what would you love to do, but you think it's too late to try? That's a big one right there. And with that, the next one, think about what things you see other people do and you think, I wish I could do that. That looks fun, interesting, fulfilling, and or I wonder if I could. So let's spend about 2 minutes on these two. And again, I'm not looking for complete sentences. Just jot it down. Any words work. And for those who are watching the replay, you can pause if you need more time. Okay, that's been 2 minutes. If you're still going, keep going. Don't worry about these next two. You can get to them in a moment. The next two questions. What is missing in your life? For some of us, that may be a feeling. For others of us, it might be an actual, like, tangible thing. And the next question to go with that is, how in your life do you feel the call to be pushed? Where to explore? What feelings to prioritize? So let's spend about 2 minutes here. So here's what we're going to do. For those who are ready to move on, we're going to go to the rapid fire section. Okay, so I'm going to read the questions and we are going to spend about, let's do 4 minutes answering these. I really want them to be rapid fire. So here are the questions in the rapid fire section. You don't need to answer all of them. You don't need to answer them deeply, but here we go. What books would you like to read? What events would you love to attend? What's a hobby you've long wished you could try? What foods are you interested in making and eating? What outside of your responsibilities sounds fun to you? If you had more time, what would you prioritize doing more of? What people would you like to hang out with more? How would you spend a day to yourself? And what local places are you interested in visiting? So now is where I'm going to give us 4 minutes and then I'll check in to see where you're at. And if it's annoying that I'm reading the questions, I apologize. It's because I also share this as an audio format as part of the replay. So in case people aren't watching it, I need to read these questions out. So, okay, we're going to pause for 4 minutes here and answer those. Okay, it's been 4 minutes. Whew. You've done it. You've done the reflection. So for those who need a little bit more time, the good news is you have it right now. But for those who are ready to move on, also good news, you can move on and do so by telling me what's coming up for you. This may not be totally pleasant. Like maybe you're already feeling a little anxious because you're like, oh, there's just so many things. Like, what if I just keep not doing it? Or I don't even know where to start. Or this is hard to answer. Like I had a hard time answering these. Or maybe what's coming up for you is some excitement. maybe a little spark of recognition. There's no wrong or right way to feel. I'm just curious what is coming up for you. So if you were to sum it up in one word, what would that word be? And put it in the chat. What is this bringing up for you? Julie says it's helping me hone things down. That's great, Julie. Some are saying more fear, worried about kids and finances, more worried than you expected. Nicole says, aha. I like that. Again, no wrong or right answer here. Worry. Will I have support? I want to talk about that. Jeannie says, there are so many things I love to do, but I need to get my work done to make time for them. That's where I'm going to pressure you, Jeannie. I'm going to pressure you because you'll never get there. So we have to figure out how to make time for these things. That means you will have to be more comfortable with trade-offs. That's the bummer, but that's what the DSL can push you to do. When we talk about a healthy push, this is it. A healthy push to not wait for things to be done so you can prioritize yourself. And it's not an all or nothing thing even with that. It's not like, here, children, take care of yourself. Like, hey, boss, how about you do the assignment? Or, whatever our responsibilities are. But it's still a little bit more of a flexibility than we are typically used to. Sorry, I took a little bit of time on that. And Libby, I get you on the support one. I think we should talk about that too. Nishi says it was tricky to not let the have to do things seep in. We're gonna talk more about that. Amy, need to prioritize the time. That always rings true to me when I do my do something list. I'm like, okay, it all comes down to time. So has to be something I think about. The reflection questions were hard, and I was thinking there wasn't anything I wanted to do, but the rapid fire questions were actually easy to answer and open my eyes to how many things I really want to do. I'm so glad to hear that. And to be honest, that's how I would have, moved through that workbook. The rapid fire would have been more helpful for my style of reflection, but then I could go back and maybe answer one or two of the deeper ones after that. It feels vulnerable, but I feel like some of the things I would like would require others in my extended family to show up, and that feels impossible. On the other hand, I'm realizing that I can put energy into the people that I want to show up like friends. So again, we're going to come back to the support piece. Okay, I'm just going to read a few more here. Not all of them. I'm feeling a mix of excitement and sadness as I realize how hard last year was for me. I'm so sorry about that. It was a bit easier in the past, maybe a bit of the mindset shift that I gave myself permission to be on the list. That's great to hear that, Paula. And keeping everything organized, house management is so hard. But yeah, like that one probably doesn't belong in the do something list. So we're going to talk about that, but don't worry about that yet. Okay. So now that we've kind of given the best of both worlds for those who are ready to move on and those who weren't, hopefully you've had enough time to do some reflection here. Now we're ready to move on to the brainstorm section. So that reflection is giving you some ideas. And this is where all ideas are good ideas. And I actually have a whole list of ideas for you. And we're going to pull that up while you're doing it. So you can steal from these. What we're going to do is spend 5 minutes brainstorming. I don't want you to worry about if something's a goal yet or if it's a do something list item. I don't want you to worry about if something is too ambitious. I don't want you to discount something as impossible yet. We will get there. We will make it practical to your life. For now, nothing is off the list. Put anything on there. So I have 2 pages of ideas that you can refer to. And again, we're going to give you 5 minutes. If you have any questions in the meantime, please put them in the chat. That's what I'm here for. Okay, 5 minutes to brainstorm. Just know I'll spend 1 more minute on this idea page, and then I'll scroll down to the next idea page because we have a lot of ideas. And these all come from do something lists from our community. I've gathered a lot of them over the years. We have about 2.5 more minutes. So this is the second page. And if we need more time, we have more time. So this is the second page of potential ideas that you can draw from. While this is a workshop and we have time to, really dig deep in live format, take your questions. I know me, and if I call someone out and we do the voice, I'm going to coach someone for like 30 minutes. So Let me let me just go over what typically is happening at this point. What typically is happening is a whole lot of fear. If you're feeling stuck, what it's going to help you the most right now is for you to answer the question, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? For many of you, it's going to be practical fears, like where will I get the time? It might be deeper, like this is uncomfortable. I haven't done this for so long. It could be something like, what if I don't like what's on my list? This feels like too much pressure. It can even be down to that biggest, one of the common things you were worried about when we brought this up earlier, lack of support. I always think about a friend I have who's named Sarah Dean. I'm like, wait, is that her last name? Dean? From Shameless Mom Academy. She's one of my podcaster friends. So we only met in real life once, but she has often talked about how when when people that we love, like maybe children or nieces and nephews, like a child, when they want to try something like soccer, you don't ask them, well, what are you going to do with that? Or it's not like, I'm going to hold back the money because I don't think you're going to do it. Or I'm not going to put in the time because I don't think you're going to become a world-renowned football player. Like, I'm sorry, kid. I don't see you doing the World Cup. So we're just not even going to try. And I bring that up only because, yeah, your do something list will require some time. It should not require much money, but it may. Like this past year, the thing that saved me in 2023 was making sourdough. That was free, besides the flour. The thing that saved me in 2024 was going out of my house and going to things like concerts or symphonies or plays or musicals. That costs money that I typically wouldn't want to prioritize. I could do it this past year, more than I could have others, but it shouldn't require a lot of money, but it may. The other thing your do something list is going to require is support from other people in your life. When I shared that picture of me outside the museum and how I'm holding an ice cream cone, that was a day that my husband had to support me by taking over my responsibilities at home. So, yes, it's going to require these things, but I can also tell you not as much as you think. One of the things we do when we're trying to self-protect is we self-sabotage. And when we self-sabotage, one of the number one ways we do that is by talking ourselves out of something before we even start. So I'm going to confidently tell you, yes, it will require some time. It will require some support from people in your life, and it may require some money. But in any of those areas or all of those areas, it will not be as much as you think. And also, it is going to be good for everybody. My first list was me doing this with 3 young children at home. So I did filter some things out, and we're going to talk about that. We do want this to be realistic to your life, but please don't stop before you start because of those fears. So those are the most common fears, as is, this is uncomfortable. I don't know if I can do it. That's what the do something list is for, is to challenge that side of you. So if you're in that boat, that's coming next. When we tweak, that's when we can think about, well, I'm scared. So what if I made my list 3 items long? What if I made it more doable? What if I made it more practical to my life? And that's okay. It is okay to do that. You don't have to do the pastry crawl like we did in San Francisco one year. That was really fun, by the way. If you want a fun day with your girlfriends, go into a city and go to like 5 pastry shops in a row. It is a lot of fun. Okay. So we have a brainstorm. If you're still stuck on that list, take the little coaching I just did. That was more general, I know. Apply it to yourself and spend some time brainstorming still. It's okay if you're stuck on that step. Stay there. Brainstorm. Now what we're going to do is we are going to start tweaking or brainstorming if you still need to do that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a mess of your brainstorm. I want you to get really, the only word I could think of was handsy with this. I know that's the wrong word. Get a little handsy with it, but not in that way. I want you to cross things off. I want you to circle things. I want you to star others, like get messy with it. First, I want you to cross off anything that feels prescriptive or based in what you think you should want or need to have in your DSL. Just cross it off. The next thing I want you to cross off are goals. There is a place for goals, but the do something list is not it. So I want you to cross out anything that are goals in disguise. One other way to do this is perhaps you have a goal, but on your do something list, you have a fun way to help you explore your goal. So maybe your goal is to exercise again. But on your do something list, you can have try 5 new workouts. So, or go to 5 new workout classes, or go to a dance class with friends, or swim outside, like swim in a natural body of water. Okay. So you can have something that's like helps a goal, but you don't want the goal to be on your list. So not like figure out how to journal this year. No, maybe on your do something list, it can be join a journal prompt group. Those exist. Okay. For me, something that is not a goal is to read a certain number of books. I love that on my do something list, but for some of you, that's a goal. So just there's going to be a little bit of you get to have the freedom to say, like, for myself, this is a do something list. Remember that lady who wanted to memorize the preamble to the Constitution? I fully believe that belonged on her do something list. But for a lot of us, that would be a goal. Okay, so be able to discriminate for yourself. Okay, so let's spend some time just tweaking right now. Okay, go through your list and make it messy. Let's spend about 3 minutes on that. Oh, and I forgot. After you cross off the shoulds and the goals, I want you to then circle any that are standing out to you, maybe that are calling to you. Okay, even if the wording's not great, you're like, oh yeah, that one, I feel like there's something there. And then star any of the ones that are no-brainer. Like no-brainers, that belongs on my do something list. Like a no-brainer for me this year is have fun with fashion. That's been on my list since 2020. I love that. I love that on my list. Another one that's a no-brainer on my list is to go on 5 hikes with friends this year. Okay, so let's get messy. Let's spend 3 minutes starting now. If you're stuck or you have more questions, put it in the chat. I'm going to answer Sarah's question here. Struggling to know when to stop narrowing it down. Tips? With that, Sarah, I would just think about, if I'm feeling like I'm getting too stuck in my head, like I'm just like deliberating and it feels heavy, I would just put it down and walk away for a little bit. I know you can't necessarily do this in the workshop, although you are welcome to. I would just come back to it later when you have a little bit more of like a fresh mind. But otherwise, I would just go with your gut. This is a good practice for that, especially if why we're doing the do something list is to help to rediscover ourselves. Even in the creation of it, we have the opportunity to push that in ways that are a little uncomfortable, but good for us. So try to just pay attention to your body and how you're feeling, like physiologically as you're going through your list. If something's like oh, I have to do that, cross it off. If something is like that sounds fun, like, or you get a little zing or more energy, even like a fearful kind of energy, I would at least circle it, if not star it. Okay, what we're going to do now is we are going to move into starting to define it. If you're still in the brainstorm or the tweaking phase, stay there. That's okay. This workshop is yours. You can make the time work for you. You don't need to move on if you're not ready. For those of you who are, before we do, I need to give you some tips on how to make a successful do something list. And to do that, let me get back to my presentation here as it will show up for me. Okay, there we are. The first tip is to get selfish. And I know that sounds like, oh, what? No, this list is about you. So this is your place to be selfish, self-centered. It's okay. This is about you. It's about nobody else. So that's the challenge. Make it about you. Okay. Number 2, be open. Your do something list is likely to surprise you. So just like be open to what comes up in your brainstorm. If you keep feeling drawn to something, but you like talk yourself out of it, but you're like, I have on there that maybe I want to climb a peak locally, but I don't think I have time to do that. And you keep coming back to look at it. You're like, oh, just be open. Go with those feelings. Circle it. Okay. The next one is get messy. So I'm even talking about your finalized list. The best do something lists start as messes from the brainstorm and the tweaking phase, but even the first finalized version of it may not seem totally good yet. And that's okay because it's a living document. It's allowed to change. You can revisit in a week or in a month or 6 months. I typically revisit mine halfway through the year. The next one is to make it doable, especially if this is your first do something list. I would choose fewer items on your list rather than too many. I would choose simpler items. I would choose more fun than serious, okay? You're not going to win any awards by making this hard. So make it doable. And the final one is be seasonal. When I say this, I mean there are things that are the right thing, but not the right time. That was my 2023 list. That was the year I had my newborn. So, and I've had other lists when I had newborns, or a really challenging time at work, or if you have some health issues or financial issues or something going on with your family, it's okay to be like, this is a cool and right thing. But for this season, I'm going to put that on the back burner. Now, be careful with that one because that's one of the ways we self-sabotage the most too, is by waiting for the right time. So just try to be really intuitive about that, okay, and gentle about it. I wouldn't rush to be seasonal is what I'm trying to say. Okay, after you have finalized your list, I want to give you some tips that will make you successful in actually doing it. The first one is the most important, and I didn't do it for years because I didn't even know how important it was until I started doing it. And it's make it visual. You need to put your DSL somewhere where you will see it easily and often. Do not underestimate what a huge difference this makes. I personally put mine in the little, in a part of our hallway next to the bathroom I'm in, typically when I get ready. And it's actually like in the doorway of the bathroom, I can see it on the hall wall. So like while I'm brushing my teeth, I can just glance over and be like, oh, how am I doing with that? Okay. And it's never beautiful. It's just written up and taped on a wall. I do use painter's tape though. I don't want anyone to ruin their drywall. Okay. The next tip to be successful is to be accountable. I do that with the internet. I'm accountable to you guys. I share about my little recaps once a season. I sometimes have done recaps once a month. I try to share it in the moment a little bit. You guys are my accountability team. You can make the internet your accountability team. Also, you can make a friend. If you need me to be your accountability buddy, I probably won't be able to like do it every day, but feel free to send me an email. The next one is similar. Get messy. When you commit to messy action and own that something is better than nothing, you will surprisingly make more progress on your do something list than if you're striving for full completion. And it's funny, like this past year on my list was complete 3 masterclasses because I have that dumb masterclass app that I keep getting charged for accidentally. There's also some good classes on there that I really want to take, but I didn't get there until all of a sudden, like I almost took it off my list. But before I knew it, I had taken one at the end of 2024 and I've already taken 2 others at the beginning of 2025. I don't know how, it just happened. So sometimes that happens because of the messy action. All right. And the next and final one is to prepare to pivot. Life happens. You can revisit. It's a living document. You can change your list. And I do that every year, at least once a year. Okay. So we're going to spend some time defining now. This is where I want you to just write your list. And as you do that, If you can share even one with us in the chat so other people can see what this is looking like for other people, that would be great. So we're going to both define and to share right now. Define and share. So let's click on define. So let's spend about 3 to 5 minutes on finalizing our list. We've done great this year. Other years I talk too much. I did better this year. I'm really proud. Okay, Jelena, thanks for going first here. Take a flower arranging class. Yay! Love that. And by the way, you're reminding me that one of my goals for 2024 was I wanted to grow more flowers in my garden. So that became a goal. But on my do something list, I had make 4 bouquets of flowers for my garden. So that was a fun way for me to explore that goal. Okay, let's see some more examples here. And by the way, I'm feeling like my list this year is going to be way more arts and craftsy than any other year. Like I want to sew again. I've never done that. Oh, Libby, you want to do that too. Sew a dress. Love that. Nishi, go on a city bike adventure downtown Fort Worth with my oldest daughter before she goes to college. What? How is she going to college? This was something that was on my list before, but never did. That's okay. You can still from prior lists. I love that you're doing that. Front porch bakery. Nicole, are you also getting micro bakery content like I am? Right and left? Like every day, I'm like, should I quit my job and start a micro bakery and sell bread from my front porch? Nicole, start a hiking club. Jeannie, play piano duets with a friend. That's so fun. That's like friends and music together. Taryn, I'm finding that many of my items fall under a few small categories. Yeah, that happens. That happens sometimes. I'm excited to gather them and choose related activities. Great. Yeah, you can do that too. Like maybe, this is my year of creativity, or this is my year of reading, or this is my year of physical activity. And with that, you can come up with other activities that go on your do something list to help you with that. Or you can categorize them into a couple small categories for sure. Julie, take an embroidery and or Shishiko mending clothes workshop. That's fascinating. Not a goal to me because I know I would like it and I have the supplies and I'm really wanting to do it. Perfect example of how like that's a goal for someone else, but for you, it's not. Nishi, the pastry crawl and trapeze class on your list sounds intriguing. Or trapeze, yeah. Taryn, I signed up for a coloring subscription. Beautiful. This is making my life. They'll send me something each quarter. Their first one came yesterday. I'm so glad I signed up. Cass, read and take a nap at the beach. Yes, let's all have that on our list. That's amazing. Some of the items that are typically on my list are go on an overnighter with my husband, read a certain number of books, swim outdoors is often on my list. Going on a certain number of hikes is on my list typically. In the past, I've done hand lettering. But it's kind of fun what you see, like what of your do something list saves your year for you. I already said 2023, sourdough saved me. 2024, I'm getting out saved me. I think this year, learning how to sew again is going to save me. So I'm trying to come up with a fun way to explore that. And a fun way could be to go to a sewing class. Like I might formalize it that way. Let's take one more minute to finalize and share my ideas. I'll just be quiet for this last minute to make sure you have that space and time. Let's hold space for your do something list. All right, my friends, let's read a couple more here and then we are going to say goodbye. Go on a novel date, like a cooking class or going to a bookstore. That sounds so fun. Laura says a monthly me day, calendar events for myself, clean up my workspace, rest, and nap. Beautiful. I love that one so much. Sarah, interview extended family members to learn their favorite things. That's brilliant. Libby, press wildflowers. You, me, and Joanna Gaines. I want to do that too. Ramona, play with watercolor. Meredith, I want to find a way to collect little memories in word form, but I'll struggle putting that in the DSL. Okay, this is one of the ones like sit on it a bit. Flexible goal journal is great. That sounds like it could be a goal. So what is a fun way to explore that? Like, maybe I go on a one-on-one date with these people. Like I take these people to dinner, but it's like little memories. So it's not like you going to do an interview. That was someone else. Sorry, got mixed up. That one sounds more like a goal, to be honest with me, but there's probably some way to explore it. Taryn, a baker I follow online is sharing a Cookie of the Month club. It will relate to a movie, and she'll share an activity you can do for girls' night. That is so good. Taryn, you told me about Sally's baking addiction, right? And how she does a monthly like bake challenge. So you could do that on your do something list too, guys. That's another idea, like a monthly bake challenge. Try 5 new restaurants. Love that, Kimber. Well, this has been so fun. Okay, so we're here. If you're not done, that's okay. But here's what I want you to do. Share your do something list. Let me be your accountability buddy. Email me your list. When you have finalized it, I would love for any of you to do that. I don't care if your list looks like it's on a Post-it note with 3 items. I would love to see it. So that's your challenge. Share your do something list, your finalized list with me. And by the way, I'm not done because I was teaching. I wasn't really working on mine. So I'm going to work on mine too. And I'm going to be accountable to you. I'm going to share it on Instagram. And then I would love to see yours. And also, this is something I offer at the end of every do something list workshop for people who are here live or for people who are listening or watching the replay. You can email me with your questions. So if you're stuck somewhere, or if you're not sure if something's a goal or if it's a do something list item, or if you're, any way you're stuck, ask me and I will respond, and I would love to help you. And that's like just free of charge. Like, don't worry about that. I'm not going to be like, I can help you. Here's a $5,000 coaching agreement. That's not what it's going to be like. So that's it, my friends. Congratulations. If you are still working on finalizing your list, do so. Share it with me when you're done, and then celebrate and get started. And I can't wait to see how the year goes for you. My email is hello@aboutprogress.com. Thank you again for being here, my friends. And before we go, I now want one more word in the comments about how you feel now. How do you feel? Excited? That's great, Taryn. Motivated, hopeful, excited. I'm getting a lot of that. Intentional, happy and ready to start something new. Optimistic. Okay, my friends, there's no better note to end on than that. If you're not there yet, don't worry, you will get there. And I like this one, nervous but optimistic. That to me is a win. So thank you, my friends. And let's end on yours, Ramona. That's perfect. Ready. You're ready. I'm ready. Let's do this. On to 2025, my friends. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.